Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing an adorable shaker card that features a heat embossed sentiment on the acetate window, and I thought I would give you some tips and tricks for embossing on acetate. It can be a little tricky at times, so I'll show you how I created this card today. I'm going to be using some brand new products from the Essentials by Ellen line. This is available exclusively at ellenhutson.com, and they have a brand new release that just hit the shop for August 2022, and it is filled with some great stamps, dies, as well as some hot foil plates, and I'll be using some of these today. Now, these all have like this kind of fun, outdoorsy, adventure feel to them. And even if you're indoorsy like me, I think you'll find these products really adorable and fun to use. Now, at the end of this product assortment here is this trip-in stamp set. This was actually available as a gift with purchase last year, but now it is coming into the Essentials by Ellen main product line, so you can pick yours up. Now I'm starting out with the Through the Trees die. It's a part of that brand new release that I just showed you. And I'm die cutting this from some Concord and 9th Evergreen cardstock. I'm going to die cut that twice because I'm going to kind of have it wrap around this smaller rectangle that I will create with the Essentials by Ellen Essential Rectangle die set. Now this is designed to fit on an A2 size card front, so you can have it flanking either side and kind of create the same sort of wrap that I'm doing. But I kind of wanted to trim it down and show you that you could use it on a smaller rectangle as well. And those trees are just going to come in a little bit further. So I've chosen this size rectangle from the Essentials by Ellen Essential Rectangles die set, and I've die cut it from some Concord and 9th white cardstock, which is great for ink blending as well as foiling. Then I'm going to take the next die down in the Essentials by Ellen rectangle cardstock. It would actually be 2 dies down because the one that's the next size down doesn't actually nestle into this. So I'm taking these 2 rectangle dies and I'm taping them together using some removable adhesive. And then I'm going to run those through on this Concord and 9th white cardstock once again to create a frame. Now this is going to go on my shaker card and kind of cover up all of the adhesive and elements that I need to hold all of these trees together. And you'll see how this really comes together. It is so much fun, and I love this kind of starry skies theme that it has going on. Now I need a piece of acetate, and so I'm taking that original rectangle that I die cut my backer panel from, and I'm die cutting that from the Essentials by Ellen clear plastic, and I'm going to add my metal shim to this die cutting sandwich. I just find that acetate die cuts a lot easier if you throw that metal shim in there. Now these trees are beautiful as they are, but I wanted to add a little bit of kind of color variance to them and kind of deepen up this evergreen cardstock. So I'm taking the Catherine Pooler Juniper Mist ink and I'm just blending on a little bit of this navy ink onto this evergreen cardstock, and it's going to kind of deepen it up. It doesn't really turn it blue. It kind of turns it a darker green, but I love the combination of these 2 colors together, and you can see the original green cardstock compared to what I created with the ink blending. Now I held those die cuts in place using my Brutus Monroe stick and stamp mat, and I got ink all over it, and I'm just wiping it gently with a baby wipe to remove that excess ink. And then I'm taking that panel that I die cut using the Essentials by Ellen rectangle die, and I'm going to start ink blending my night sky background. Now, in hindsight, I should have blended the pink that I'm going to add in the center first, and then added the navy around the outside, but honestly, it was kind of an afterthought, and so I made it work. But if you're going to recreate this card, I would definitely recommend blending the pink first, because you'll see when I pull in this ballet slipper from Concord and 9th, I'm going to blend it right into the middle of this navy, which is beautiful. But my ink blending brush is picking up some of that navy ink from the surrounding ink blending that I already did. And so just to avoid kind of contaminating your brush, I wiped it off and it was fine. But to avoid that, you can just blend the pink in the center first and then go around the edges with the Juniper Mist ink. Now, I actually went over that Ballet slipper ink with a light layer of the Juniper mist, and you can see that beautiful kind of glow that you get in the center. I think this is a really cool combination for a night sky, and those trees are gonna look absolutely gorgeous against that navy background. So I'm just kind of testing things out as I go along and just making sure I like things where they are. And now I'm going to take my acetate panel that I die cut earlier. I'm going to slip in that navy panel behind it just so I can kind of see it a little bit better, because I am going to place my sentiment that says keep looking up right in the center of this acetate panel. And this stamp is from the new Starry Skies stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen line. I love the sentiments in the Starry Skies stamp set. They are so fun. One says like stay wild moonchild or something like that. And the other one says see how they shine for you. I think they're so much fun, and the font is absolutely beautiful. Now let's talk heat embossing on acetate, because it can be tricky. Acetate has a lot of static in it. And so the first thing you're going to want to do when you're heat embossing on acetate is give it a good rub down with whatever powder tool you're using. And I mean, don't be shy. Let there be plenty of powder left over on the surface. And then go ahead and stamp in your VersaMark ink. Now, when I apply this embossing powder, I'm going to be really careful not to allow it to get onto the back of the acetate, because once it gets on the back of the acetate, it's hard to get it off because it's not prepped with the powder tool. You can actually prep both sides with the powder tool, but you want to avoid getting the embossing powder on the back side of the acetate. Before you heat set, go ahead and take a dry paintbrush and remove any excess embossing powder around your stamped image. That's going to give you a cleaner look. And when you do heat set it, make sure you are adding little short bursts of heat to the acetate. Now I'm using the Essentials by Ellen clear plastic acetate, which is like my favorite. It's my all-time favorite. And it's not technically considered a heat resistant acetate, but I was able to get really good results by making sure that I wasn't overheating it. There is a little bit of warping on this, but I was able to kind of straighten that out with the frames and such that I'm adding. And so if you're using a heat resistant acetate, you still want to use those short bursts of heat. Don't overheat it, or you're going to end up with a lot of warping. Finally, I took my acetate and I just wiped it down with a microfiber cloth to remove all the excess powder tool that was on the surface. And now I have this beautiful gold heat embossed image on my shaker window, and I think it is so much fun how it's nestled into these trees. Now to add the trees to the acetate, I just added a little bit of liquid glue around the frame of it. So only along the very outer edge of these tree shapes did I add that liquid glue, because I'm going to be able to cover that with this frame that I die cut earlier. Now this frame is cut out of white cardstock, and I decided I wanted it to be pink. So I'm just taking a COPIC marker and adding some color to this frame. It's a very, very soft pink. And this color vibe and this kind of product suite, it really gives me like One Canoe 2 vibes. They have this very kind of earthy vibe with these beautiful navies and pinks usually. So those are the vibes I'm totally getting from this project today. So I have 3 of those die cut frames, and I'm just stacking them up using some liquid glue to add a little bit of depth to this outer frame. And you see that little thin gold frame at the kind of left corner of my mat right now? That I die cut using the Essentials by Ellen rectangle die. Every single rectangle cuts that really fine frame. So I die cut that as well, and I'm going to inlay that into this larger frame that I have around the outside. So I just added liquid glue to the back side of that frame, adhered it right over the top of this acetate window that I'm working on. And then, like I said, I will nestle that gold frame right in there, and I just used a little bit of liquid glue for that. Now I'm creating a shaker card today, but the depth of the shaker bits that I'm using, they're not super deep or thick. So I'm just adding a single layer of foam adhesive all around the edge of the shaker window. Now, because I have that frame on the front side, this is hiding all of the foam adhesive as well as that liquid glue that I used to adhere my trees to the back side of that acetate window. So that frame really worked in my favor to give me good hiding spaces for all of the adhesive that I needed for my shaker card. Now I'm going to flip this over, and as I mentioned before, I'm adding that gold frame. And then I'm going to take these sparkly silver stars from High Supply, and I am going to add them to that back panel that I ink blended earlier. Now this is just an easier way for me to line everything up. You could add the stars into the well of that shaker window and then try to add the back panel over the top, but I thought it would be a little bit harder to see to get it lined up. So I'm just doing it, I'm kind of just building it on my desktop from the bottom up. Now, once I get that into place, I'm going to press this down to make sure that all of my foam is adhered to the backer so I won't have any leaking. And then I have my shaker window that all I need to do is add it to a top folding A2 size card, and I have my completed card project today. I'm really digging this outdoorsy vibe that the Essentials by Ellen August 2022 release line has. It's very kind of outdoorsy, and even though I'm an indoorsy girl, I find it very inspiring. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, so if you're looking for something in particular, be sure to check there. Or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked below. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies, as well as some information on an Instagram hop that's happening today to celebrate this brand new release from the Essentials by Ellen line. And here is a quick peek at all of the projects that I created using this fab new release. So be sure to check that out over at my blog as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad you're here. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you won't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. And if you loved this video, I would love it if you would share it with a friend. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.